What is up, everybody? Welcome to Party on Broad. Today, we are breaking down Week 8 of college football. To help me do that, he is Ryan Reese at Philly Sports PSA. What's up, Ryan?
Not much, man. Ready. I feel like it's been forever since I've done a show, and I'm ready to get back into it and talk a little college ball.
Let's do it, man. What was your top takeaway of Week 7 before we go forward?
I mean, there were so many amazing games. Honestly, you pick one. Penn State coming all the way back, being down 14.5. The Ohio State, Oregon matchup. I mean, again, and then you had Texas. I just thought there was such amazing games. It was hard to pick. It was hard to pick my favorite, honestly.
I think you can lock in Ashton Jeanty as RB1 of the draft. That's a lock. Not a crazy take by any means whatsoever. He's been showing it every single week. How about? I think there's some variability in this year's college football playoff. Like, I think there's weaknesses in every team, and we're going to be talking about Texas versus Georgia, two teams that definitely have some weaknesses. And I think that's across the board. You look at Alabama, you look at Penn State. I mean, there's beatable teams all throughout the college football scene, and I think there's something to that. So we're going to be talking about Texas. We're going to be talking about Georgia. If you're an Eagles fan, you're in luck. We'll be talking about a lot of prospects, which is good if you're an Eagles fan. And then we'll be talking player of the week predictions. We'll be talking our favorite Eagles draft targets of the week. Let's jump into our – what do you want to do first? Game of the week? Eagles target?
We can do Eagles target if you want. That's fine.
Eagles draft targets to watch of the week. Eagles draft targets of the week. We've got Marshawn saying, I like this move. Don't talk Eagles. Well, we'll be talking about the Eagles for the rest of the afternoon, Marshawn. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
But, yeah, quick plug. Make sure you subscribe to the Eagles Pin Pool. All the halftime post-game shows will be over there. I'll still be pumping out shorts and my takeaways and stuff on this channel. But Eagles Pin Pool, go check it out. Shane and Johnny will also be joining, and Ryan and myself. Talking a lot of Eagles versus Browns.
Oh, yeah.
I'll jump into this thing. It is a Georgia Bulldog. Today, we're going to talk and preview Mykel Williams, an edge rusher for the Georgia Bulldogs. Was a top 10 recruit out of high school, 6'5", 265 pounds. He's got the ability to play a lot of different roles, a lot of alignment versatility, which NFL scouts will love. Tons of physical tools. Should crush the upcoming draft process in terms of the combine. Against the run, this guy has very few flaws. He's strong. He's physical. He's got a ton of upper body strength. Knows how to get extension against offensive linemen. His biggest flaws, quite simply, is that he's raw. I don't think it's going to slow down his draft stock. But as a pass rusher, he's got a long way to go. He pretty much wins in college with his ridiculous strength and athleticism. His handwork is not great. He doesn't have a go-to move to win in the NFL. And quite frankly, injuries have sidelined him quite a bit this year. He hasn't broken out as I expected. He's only got 5 pressures and 2 quarterback hits. He's got 0 sacks through 4 games this year. He's got to be a huge factor against Texas if the Bulldogs want to win. So keep an eye out for Mykel Williams. We're kind of waiting to see if he's going to have that oh shit moment in 2024. I still think, he's going to, like Trey Walker, like he's going to blow away the draft process due to his athleticism. He's still a top-notch prospect. I thought he was probably a top 20 guy coming into the season. I think he's probably more of a round 2 guy as we currently stand. But that's Mykel Williams.
Yeah, and I think that's only due to the fact that I think as you look at the edge class, throughout the year, I feel like it's just getting better and better and better.
Mhm.
And as far as the Eagles are concerned, that's getting worse and worse and worse and worse.
Yes, it is.
Oh, could we see, kind of what we did last year for corners? Maybe we do that for edge.
I hope so, man. I've been tweeting that for weeks now. I mean, you look at the roster, you look at Josh Sweat and Brandon Graham. Maybe he's got a year left. When Brandon Graham is your best edge rusher, that's a problem. And Milton Williams is probably going to be going off to a different team. I would spend premium assets on the defensive line in the top of the draft.
Yeah, you obviously spent a lot of money on the secondary or draft capital, as you will. Yeah, it's time to fix the trenches. That's what the Eagles love to do. So that's why I think, I've obviously been a very linebacker, tight end heavy prospect guy, but I think as we're seeing, edge and overall defensive line clearly is becoming the biggest need for the Eagles.
And speaking of edge, you've got a guy that knows how to set an edge, unlike everyone else on the Philadelphia Eagles. Who are you talking about this week?
I am talking about Ohio State's Jack Sawyer. This guy is just a model of consistency. He is a model of just that high motor, and he's also versatile. This is a guy that can certainly play your traditional defensive end, but he kind of plays that hybrid linebacker edge position that Ohio State kind of likes to employ there in Columbus. But this guy absolutely is your prototypical fingers in the hand in the ground and just get after the quarterback. As Dive said, he's great at actually setting the edge. He has wonderful flexibility and bend to get around that edge. And he just really like I said, has that motor that just you can't teach. You absolutely cannot teach it. So the fact of the matter is that you can kind of play him in multiple positions out there with edge. And given the fact that, he is just a dog at getting to the quarterback, but he's also very smart. He's got a great kind of view of the game, and really kind of takes that to being able to sniff out the play, whether it's kind of a fake, whether he needs to step back or whatnot. But combine that with his just like I said, intelligence, his explosive first step, and his flexibility, and his just inability. Honestly, I don't even think he knows how to not just constantly be at 100. So and he's a great tackler. So yeah, obviously his coverage skills are not the absolute best, but again, he's it's not a guy you want to have covering tight ends or whatnot. He's a guy that gets after the quarterback. He's the guy who sets the edge, and he's a guy who could be really good in the run game as well. So Jack Sawyer is definitely going to be a first round pick in my opinion.
Okay.
He definitely he just has been doing it for a long time in Ohio State. I feel like he's been impactful since freshman year. We all thought he was going to come out last year, and he stayed another year there at Ohio State. So, yeah, I really like him. I think he's definitely a first round pick. Maybe later first round pick, given the the pedigree of the position. But he'll be in there.
Give me anybody that's over 6'2", that can set an edge. Jack Sawyer and Mike Williams, two of them. So keep an eye out on those two guys. Jack Sawyer's a dog, man.
Yeah, he honestly he just reminds me kind of like and again, I'm not trying to say he's going to be, but he kind of reminds me of when JJ Watt was coming out. Little unknown, certainly a little undersized in a way, but just had the motor and had that ability to get to the quarterback. And I feel like Jack Sawyer kind of has that same thing. And man, if he kind of bulks up to JJ Watt size, look out. He could be that impactful.
Yeah, he's got 3 sacks on the year, 10 quarterback hits, 22 pressures, 8 run stops. And he's been pretty good pretty much every single week through 7 weeks.
Yeah,
So far for Ohio State. He's consistent. Yeah, I love Jack Sawyer. I did start to tinker with my top 10 edge rusher rankings for the draft, and he's in it. So definitely in it. So let's jump into we got a comment. EOP. Yeah, we've kind of shifted models here. It's what it is. We could talk about that on another show. Yeah. But anyway, let's roll into our game of the week. Game of the week, Texas versus Georgia, man. There's so many big games. Week 8 of college football. You have Alabama versus Tennessee, Miami versus Louisville, Nebraska versus Indiana, Michigan, Illinois. But we're talking Georgia Bulldogs versus the Texas Longhorns. Let's start with the Longhorns, who, they just rolled again, as expected. The Texas Longhorns beat, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Where's my Oklahoma. They rolled Oklahoma 34-3. Sorry, Shane. I don't know why they jumped off the Jackson Arnold train so soon. I just don't get it. But
yeah, I don't get that either.
Texas is 6-0. They tallied 406 total yards against the Oklahoma Sooners, which is a pretty damn good defense. But I think the biggest take out of that game was the Texas defense. The Texas defense might be the best Texas defense we've seen in quite a bit. And the guy that I think we should shout out in this one is a guy that we've already covered on this channel. He is Anthony Hill, a linebacker, Ryan, who might be the best linebacker in the country, when all is said and done, like this time next year. Yeah. He had 11 tackles, 2 sacks, a forced fumble, 3.5 tackles for loss. He also had 5 run stops against Oklahoma yesterday. This is the defense that held Oklahoma's quarterback to 4.9 yards per completion. They just completely took away their run game as well. The Sooners only had 89 yards on the ground on 39 carries. That's 2.3 yards per carry. Anthony Hill is a flat-out stud, man. He's only a sophomore, but he's already become kind of the symbol of that Texas Longhorns defense. He's got a lot of confidence. He's got a lot of swag. He had a Baker Mayfield jersey that he tore up after the win, saying we're not scared of anybody. Like, this guy has a lot of swagger. He's got a huge nose for the football. He's going to be a top pick in next year's draft if he declares. But yeah, keep an eye out for Anthony Hill. I think the Texas Longhorns defense is legit.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, I mean, obviously, you talk about Hill there, but yeah, they have a couple other guys that I feel like are certainly worth talking about. Jahdae Barron is one I certainly like. I'm trying to think of the Makuba, who came from Clemson. So they definitely got their defense definitely got bolstered this offseason, and it shows. They're literally putting it on really good teams. Not only are they scoring at will, scoring 50, 30, 50, 30, it's every other game. It's like 50, 30. But they're also shutting people out. I think they've given up maybe 13, 12 points at the most in a game this year. It was 13 against Mississippi State. So, their defense is shutting people down. And I think the offense certainly gets a lot of, love, but, people need to respect that defense there over at Texas.
All right, and then we get to the Georgia Bulldogs Ryan, this is not your father's Georgia Bulldogs. There's some wrinkles here that we kind of need to talk about. Like, I think this team is much closer to needing to beat like the Tennessees, the Ole Miss, and Georgia Techs to have a pretty good record and potentially missing the college football playoff. It's a team that plays undisciplined for stretches, which kind of feels dirty to say about a Georgia Bulldogs team, which we're always like blown away by.
Right.
But obviously, you start with the offense. You know, it's been up and down this season. We'll put up Carson Beck here. But Carson Beck arguably had his best game of the season last week against Mississippi State. Yeah, Mississippi State's one of the more underperforming teams in the SEC. A win is a win, but Carson Beck looks strong. 459 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. He did have 2 picks. One of them, though, was deflected. So that's important. But I think on the defensive side, Georgia's also really struggling. And it's more so the defensive backs. This is a secondary that's been getting picked apart quite simply. And we haven't seen a Georgia secondary be such a liability in such a long time. You know, this is a defense that made a freshman quarterback named Michael Van Buren of Mississippi State go 20 of 37 for 306 yards and 3 touchdowns. I think the jury is out on this guy. I mean, this was another breakout star we were waiting to see in 2024. Dalen Everett, a cornerback for Georgia. He's more of a run defender, but man, he's been getting picked apart. And keep an eye out for Dalen Everett versus Isaiah Bond of the Texas Longhorns. Isaiah Bond is a great athlete, a burner, as we saw last week. So that's a big matchup. Dalen Everett versus Isaiah Bond.
Yeah. Listen, Georgia's definitely, over the past 2 seasons have been, a dominant team that people fear. And, again, you look at, again, they struggled mightily against Mississippi State. I mean, Mississippi State is 1-5, 0-3 in the conference. I mean, this should have been a 40-point blowout. But they couldn't get things going for whatever reason. And then, you look at the struggle that they had against Kentucky, who again is certainly a decent team, but not a team that the mighty Georgia Bulldogs should have been struggling with. And then obviously they lost to Alabama. Again, tough game, but still these are the games that Georgia wins and wins steadily and handedly. So there's definitely something going on with this Georgia team, and I think you're right. I think it starts with the defense. They have a lot of great names that are gonna probably be first, second, third rounders, but that doesn't really do you a lot if you're letting the other team score as many points as they have. So there's something missing there in the Georgia Bulldogs defense.
I think it's going to be a really close game. I think it's whichever offense is consistent, and I just lean a little towards Texas's defense at the moment. Should we get to predictions?
Yeah.
Right. Let's get to our – wait, we didn't do Player of the Week. Let's do Player of the Week, and then we'll get to predictions. All right, Player of the Week predictions. Let's quickly look back at last week. Ryan, you had –
look.
I see what you did there. You had Luther Burden, who had 7 touches for 127 yards and a touchdown. Woo! I went with Maffa out of Clemson, who had 21 touches for 121 yards and 2 touchdowns, but I gave you the win for this one. More yards, less touches, in a big Missouri win. Clemson won as well, but I feel like that was a big game for Burden to kind of get going. We've kind of been waiting for Burden to have a big game, and he did for sure. We'll get into more of our picks after this segment, but Ryan, who is your player of the week prediction?
So for this week, I am going to go with a running back that has just been consistently getting his yards, and that's Omarion Hampton out of UNC. Unfortunately, UNC not looking real great this year, as I think they are one and I know they're 0-3 in the conference, but they're not doing that great. Sorry, there it is, 3-4. Sorry, yeah, they played some cupcakes in the beginning of the year, and now that they're actually in the ACC, they're not doing so well. But Omarion has only had one game where he's had less than 100 yards, where he had 77. But he's had 129, 77, 210, 139, 103, 106, 137. The man is just consistently getting his touches, getting his yards. He's also, slight factor in the passing game, as he has 20 catches for 135 yards so far this season. He's almost at 1,000 yards rushing with 7 touchdowns total. He should pick that up this week, hopefully, as I have predicted him to be the game player of the week. But yeah, listen, Hampton's a great running back. He's, I think, 3rd in the nation right now with 900 yards. And yeah, he kind of has just been a consistent model of of a running back. So I think he averages about a little over 6 rush yards per game this year. So look out for Omarion Hampton. For UNC, again, I don't know how the team is going to do per se, but Omarion should still be able to get his and hopefully get into the end zone.
Yeah, he's a beast. I think he's a first-round talent. He's kind of been overshadowed by 2 other running backs. One I'm going to talk about today, but he's still putting up monster numbers. Like, he's got 45 forced missed tackles. He's got 27 runs of 10+ yards or more. He's a guy that can get major yards after contact. I'll just go to my guy. And we're going to Iowa. We're going to the Big Ten. And I can't believe I never picked him this year. And I've covered him probably about 15 times on the channel, I feel like. But it is Caleb Johnson out of Iowa. Just been a monster this year. He's RB2 right behind Ashton Jeanty in terms of production. He's, I think, a dark horse for the Heisman. That's how heavily Iowa has relied on him offensively. Last week, he had 166 of Iowa's 220 total rushing yards. He averaged 7.9 yards per carry. He also had 3 catches for 22 yards and 3 touchdowns. And this is a guy that's second behind Ashton Jeanty in basically every key rushing statistic. And that includes Iowa getting shut down by Ohio State in the previous week. So if this guy continues to rack up multiple touchdowns per game and over 150 yards per game, I think he's going to be in the Heisman conversation. Obviously, it's Ashton Jeanty and Dillon Gabriel at the moment. But as a prospect, he's a fast, decisive running back. He's 6 foot. He's 225 pounds. He's got a nice frame. He can run through contact. And, yeah, look at him up against Michigan State this week. The Spartans have lost 3 straight games, 2 of which were blowouts to Oregon and Ohio State. Expect more of the same out of Caleb Johnson, a guy like Hampton who gets touches, is basically the key cog in the Iowa offense. I like Caleb Johnson quite a bit, man. He's a well-balanced running back. Yeah. Probably more day 2 guy right after Hampton in that like tier 2, but he's legit.
Yeah, they're right around the same, I would say, as far as how they would predict into the NFL. But I definitely love both of them. I told you, when we were kind of discussing, I was like, oh man, I was looking at him. So that's when I transitioned to Hampton. But yeah, listen, 2 great running backs. I hope both of them do really well today, because yeah, I'll say it. I love it. I love it when we have good running backs in college football and just pound the rock all day long.
Yeah, I think I read something like this could be the first time since 2020 we might have a Heisman that's a non-quarterback,
It's
uh,
possible.
which is crazy. I think the last non-quarterback was Devontae Smith. So
Yeah,
it's definitely in the cards.
I think it was. Yeah, it's you look at. I mean, you look at across the board. You look at Trey Harris; he's already almost got 1,000 yards receiving. You look at Genty, who's got almost 1,300 yards on the ground. So there's definitely some non QBs that are going to be worthy of the Heisman here. But you just hope that by the end of the season it doesn't just boil down to all QBs. It's boring.
Yep. All right. Real quick, let's get this done to get out of here before the kickoff. I went 4-5 last week. You went 7-2.
Come back, City.
Big
Let's
time.
go.
I only have a 2-point lead now. What college teams do you guys root for? Penn State. I'm a Temple fan, unfortunately. I watch more so for the players, but I watch every game. I watch tons of Penn State. That was a huge win for them against USC, pulling it out there. Man, I think Penn State, if they had one decent wide receiver, like if you put not even a top 10 wide receiver, just put a decent wide receiver on Penn State, like they would maybe be my pick for being a big time contender, because obviously they're going to go up against Ohio State shortly, and we'll measure them that way. But who's your college team?
I'm a Pitt guy. I can't help it. I love me some Panthers. Hail to Pitt. Listen, they're a top 25 team now, and I'm loving life. Anytime they sneak in, and honestly, the way that the ACC is going, who knows? Maybe they sneak into a playoff spot, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, that's definitely up for grabs. Quentin roots for the Oregon Ducks. I turned off the Penn State game at halftime.
No, you shouldn't have. Maybe that's why they won.
That's probably why they won. That was a hell of a game. All right, let's jump into our predictions for this week. Alabama versus Tennessee. Where are you going, Ryan?
This is a tough one. I feel like these are two very evenly matched games, but I'm going to go Bama.
Yeah,
I think you have to go with the team that's kind of been there before. I feel like Tennessee has maybe too young of a team in the moment. It might be a little too big.
I'm right there with you. I just fail to believe that this is the Alabama we're going to get as we head into the college football playoff. Like, their offense is sputtering a little bit, and that defense is just not right. It is not right. Georgia versus Texas. Where are you going?
I'm going Texas. Hook 'em horns.
I'm also going Texas.
Like I said, there's something off about the Georgia defense this year, and man, Texas can't go wrong no matter who's a quarterback.
Miami versus Louisville.
I go Miami to bounce back. I think Louisville's a good squad, but I think Miami's definitely looking to get back on to the winning ways.
Nebraska versus Indiana.
I gotta go Indiana. I think this is strange to even say it, but I'm looking for the Hoosiers to continue to kind of their little Cinderella football story here. Maybe they'll make a movie out of it.
Man, this is dead even.
I know it's tough. It's tough, but I figure go with the home team when you don't know what to do.
Yeah, I got to go with my guy Matt Rule. Give me Nebraska.
All right, there we go. Love to have some differences here.
Michigan versus Illinois.
I'll go Michigan. I feel like they, looked a little scary, in a bad way earlier this year, but they're starting to put it together, personally, and I think the defense is really humming. So
I'm going to go Illinois.
All right, there you go. That'll be my 2 games that I needed to catch up. So perfect.
I'm not a believer in that quarterback situation for Michigan at all.
Neither am I, but
That was a hot mess.
I think either you or I could be the quarterback and still win some games.
All right, let's roll on to our top 3 locks of the week. Ryan, you want to go first?
Sure. I am going with the Utes of Utah over Arizona State.
Arizona State. I can't believe Cam Rising looked that bad last week. I got that one wrong.
He'll come back and be all right. It's Arizona State.
Mm-hmm. Man, I'm going to go BYU over Oklahoma State. BYU is rolling right now. They look really solid. And then I will go with looking at the spreads here as we do this. Man. Yeah, just give me Oregon over Purdue. I need a gimme.
Oregon over Purdue.
Want to make sure I have not selected Oregon yet. I did take Utah.
Wait, did I mess this up?
What's that?
I feel like
I think Utah lost to Arizona State.
Yeah, they lost to Arizona State. Yeah. Wait a minute. Yeah, I'm clearly looking at the wrong week here. My apologies. I'm a big dumb idiot. Well then, if that's the case, give me. Jeez, there's some tough ones here.
Yeah, it's not easy this week. We're getting to the.
We're getting into the tough. Give me LSU over Arkansas.
Ooh, Arkansas is tough, man.
I know, but I like LSU. I feel like they're starting to become a force.
All right, who's your next 2?
Jeez. You're asking a lot here. I'm gonna go Kansas State over West Virginia.
All right. Oh, the game's on already. Jesus.
Oh, jeez, really?
Yeah.
Crap.
3.5 Eagles.
What a shocker. I am gonna go with. See, I like that too much. Give me Missouri over Auburn.
All right. And then I'll go Notre Dame over Georgia Tech.
Well, that was good when I was looking at that one.
Notre Dame seems to have gotten their shit together.
They really have. Thank God.
All right. We are going to wrap this thing up, guys. I know, Quentin. We will be getting ready for halftime and post-game live again at the Eagles Pinpool Network. Ryan, where can we find you, man? Anything you want to plug before we wrap it up?
Yeah, right here on X. Just follow me there. I'll be either on this channel or the Eagles Pinpool Network. But you'll find me around, and I'm always available for kids parties, bar mitzvahs, whatever. You just hit me up. I'll be there.
All right. Here's Ryan Reese. I am Dad. We'll see you at Eagles halftime. Stay awesome, everyone.